Hello, this is Katie Diamond. I've been thinking about doing more video blogging. It's pretty common for illustrators to talk about their process while they're drawing and then kind of show what's going on. And so I figured I would give this a shot because a lot of people often ask me like how I start thinking about things and like what I do and so on and so forth. So I figured this would be a good start. I'm currently working on a project that I can't actually show you the process of, so I'm instead going to do some sketches for some other things that I have in mind, you know, other concepts that are coming to mind for me. You know, nothing for a specific client, because often I have contracts with people that I can't reveal what I'm working on until it's published or until they have the final content, so I'm not going to reveal that yet. But you can keep an eye out for it, this mystery thing that I'm doing. So first things first, here's my pad. And sorry I'm like reflectively white in my undershirt. It's like really hot. So this isn't like the sexiest video blog. This is like not super sexy. But first things first, here's my pad. I don't normally work on a pad like this. Normally I work in my sketchbook. This is a moleskin. I historically have worked in half the size of this. This is an 8.5 by 11. Normally I like to work in the ones that are about half this size, but I found this at the airport when I was traveling recently, and I really like it, and it really lets me open up, you know. So here's an example of like me just doing doodles in pencil. I recently have gone back to working in China marker. This is a China marker, typical China marker. Sharpie has just recently started putting out China markers. So it's like 97 cents. I really like cheap materials. A lot of people will disagree with me on that. Like they like the fancy, expensive, like really good brands. I prefer shitty materials. Part of that is because I burn through pens. Like I burn through pens, I burn through markers. Like I really shouldn't have anything that's nice. The nicest investment that I make is these are Faber-Castell Pitt pens. You can kind of see that right there. It's probably backwards because this is my desktop computer. But these are the brush pens that I use to do, can you kind of see that? These are the brush pens that I use to ink my final art. I tend to work primarily in black and white, so working with a brush pen and working with the organic line that I draw with, you know, this brush pen kind of, you know, emphasizes that organic look. So anyway, here's an example of what the China marker looks like when I'm sketching. I've learned that for me, I tend to draw, I have a really heavy hand. So having something that's really sturdy and can really take a lot of aggressiveness but still have a nice texture is really important to me. So here, I'll talk through while I draw. I'm working on this big pad right now because some of the sketches that I'm doing for the mystery project, as I will now lovingly refer to it as, they require a little more movement than I can capture on a small like 8.5 by 11 page. Normally, working on like a grid, working on a moleskin grid is really important to me. So not having that, that extra texture can be difficult. I learned a while ago that if I use a ruler for my line work when I'm trying to like create a panel, or if I'm trying to like, you know, make sure all of my text is on the same line, because I draw so organically, rulers, which make a really sharp edge, look really strange. So it's a bad decision to do that. So I'm just going to be drawing a hand here. Sorry I can't show you the project, but there are lots of hands right now. There's like a lot of focusing on hands, and so it's kind of fresh on my mind to be drawing a hand. This is really, it's actually sort of difficult to like talk out loud and try to draw with the level of intentionality that I normally draw with. So you can kind of see like here's that. It's looking super rough. I wonder if there's a way. I'll have to get myself a fancy camera. But essentially, like, what I've discovered when I'm working, can you see that? What I've discovered is that starting off sketchy and then being able to enunciate the line work by drawing over it, and really, it becomes a form of carving. So I really kind of see my page not just as like a blank page, but also like how someone, you know, like Leonardo da Vinci would look at, like, you know, sort of this blank marble square. You know, like my pen is essentially the chisel for that space. And looking at things that way really enables me to shift, you know, how I'm willing to draw. You know, I think that it becomes a lot less daunting when I'm carving into space. You know, things become three-dimensional in a way that's not normally typical. You know, I can sort of examine how the human form, which is my favorite thing to draw. I'm huge into the human anatomy, human anatomy. And so that is something that you'll see shows up in my work a lot. If anything, something that I really need to work on, and part of the reason why, you can kind of see this guy is looking down, and more details come out as I begin to carve more and more into his form. Does that make sense? You can kind of see him right there. So this is already almost like 7 minutes long, and it's just me babbling, but that's the first part of my process. Really sketchy line work. I'll show you my sketchbook, because I often like to use my sketchbook as a way to creatively pull stuff out of me, but it's also a planning process. So you can kind of see here, even though it's backwards, I started to plan the layout of what some of the sketches are going to look like for a project. After I made that decision, I can draw more detailed imagery. And then I like to use trace vellum, such as this, as the final. I'm going to get myself a real camera so I can show you while I draw. But basically, what I just showed you guys, here, I'll go back to it. I can find it. Sorry, this isn't a very well-planned vlog. So I like to sketch everything out because I'm a very visual person. I can't just go straight to final for really anything. I have to have some sort of loose sketch. So those notes were what made this. You know, no, none of the imagery in this is mine, but by sketching it out, even just carving into the space, I could make decisions about what this promotional booklet was going to look like. And that's a really good example as to like how my process works. It's very weird to be like talking to people but not talking to people, so like I'm sorry if this first one is a little strange, but I'll when I can show some of the process of what I've been working on, I will definitely post it because I think it's really interesting, because I get to show, you know, the next blog that I put together, vlog if you will, vlog, that I put together, I'll show what it's like for me to take other people's text and their art direction and sort of synthesize it into a visual that not only explains what they're talking about, but also is instructional, which is essentially what I'm working on right now. Mystery. So this has been brought to you by the letter K and the number 2.